Evolution is a process of incremental development. There is no planning ahead, like with a man-made blueprint or schematic. The what, why, and how to build doesn't exist prior. Stuff simply just happens. No reason, no agenda, randomly, through many variations and series of causal chains. There is no essential protection from destruction, no necessary fail-safe and or guarantee of ultimate freedom from harm, damage, injury, death, in life as we know it. The natural state of stillness does not allow peace through presence, because pain and pleasure, motivation, punishment, and reward have been fashioned for the mechanical function of biological survival and reproduction via the manifestation of consciousness by our brains, neurons, nerves, nervous systems, and our neural fiber networks. Whatever can happen will not always happen, but the door is always open to it. The darkest reality has already been lived, and you cannot even imagine a fate so wicked and dour, because most of us have not reached the depths of hell within capable realm to be evoked by the torture house of sentience. Think about your potential future kids and realize the deal they are actually going to receive upon awakening here. Pain and pleasure are biological features of evolution, with the function of motivation, punishment, and reward to propel us away from stillness, so that we can survive just long enough to fuck and reproduce, replicate DNA. Nature does not give a fuck, point made, but we can, so let's turn the whole thing over from scratch. Can any bit be salvaged? If so, or if not, what's the next step? With the way consciousness operates via pain and chase game towards relief of pain, avoidance of pain, no system to save, repair, fix, undo us from the predicament of existence. Being here in the first place, thy dilemma of birth, in an attempt to somehow reappraise the potential value, if any, in life can be made effectively to justify continuing it in regards to starting, not to be confused with ending one's own life. The act of procreation. Our best bet becomes slow withdrawal from child rearing, fading out the populace gradually, and thus wiping out all else extraterrestrial wildlife still here on Earth in the quickest, painless, and final way feasible. why deal with ourselves? Nonviolence is ideal for spreading a message. Extinction is the end game. This is why I do not advocate with ridicule or judgment, because I do not believe shame, fear, guilt, and anger to be efficient, psychologically speaking, for long-term change, conversion into the philosophy and rerouting of habitual behaviors antithetical to optimum harm reduction results. Mostly patience acquired by endurance of impatience, openness, honesty, humility, and willingness to hear, listen, acknowledge, and learn what each other has to say is the way forthwith. Guilt consciousness, passive-aggressive behavior, fight-or-flight responses to perceive negative stimuli, repulsive. Our competitive nature gets in the way of higher intellectual processes, logical, linear thinking, non-avoidance, ignoring or dismissal, and discussion over debate. Taking sides is all about pride and ego-based dialogue for social status, recognition, and approval. Instead, be open, honest, humble, and willing. Do not shut off the opposing, alter view with character attacks or evasion of subjects. These are evolutionary-based alpha-beta tactics that cause resistance more so than acceptance. For an idea to properly absorb, like in learning, a person must be open and willing. So give the same feedback as you would like to receive. We judge so that we can raise our self-esteem of ourselves to feel separate. But this is harmful to having an atmosphere of a negotiation over hostility, antagonization. We are less inclined to be open, honest, and willing when we feel threatened or vulnerable to attack. This is a typical defensive position. Developing patience comes from acceptance-based methods. Becoming aware of the fact that we are no different. Deserve has nothing to do with any of this intrinsically. And essentially, all of us act out of absolute predetermination of cause and effect, out of an ancient, fortuitous, random, cosmic autogenesis of everything. We are like robots in this way, to use some analogy. Judge, blame, complain, and accuse less, because they create resistance. Think resistance, hatred are a last resort. So acknowledge, learn, and share for more acceptance, if not the ideal circumstance of convincing, persuading, and changing. In the face of extremes, tragedy, horror in the biosphere, one must act with due urgency. You would not stop to subjugate or disable another whom you have have the full capacity for doing so. In other words, if war must come because we cannot agree to live peacefully, then so be it. Hell comes after all. This is life. If I cannot stop you, if I can stop you without much consequence, collateral damage or backlash, I will do so. I'm being honest, so do not underestimate me or anyone else. All being said, shame does not work well for long-term behavior adjustment, change. When it comes to psychology, dealing with your own inner beast, know thyself. I consider it to be paramount, if not almost just as much as being vivid in exploring, understanding these adverse disciplines of ethics and rationality. Intelligence is a mark of working through and not against the animal within. Yes, we came from a place far removed from these synthetic landscapes, urbanized environments, industrialized. We were all part of the tribe collective, gladiator bloodbath of this existence once long ago. Feeling shame makes one want to be free of shame. Wanting to be free does not make one reliable for persistent conditioning of new lifestyles, behaviors, change. Genuine desire to change is the goal. One does not want without having had and gone without. Live in a world devoid of hope and comfort, full of grief, anguish, and animosity, and the hunger for quietness will quell. Silence is golden, so they say, if you are alive, that is. But silence is not bad. It is neutral to never have been. Life is a harm. Death removes the burden. No thing is perfect, or I just have not found it yet. So that's really just a synopsis. There's a lot more I could talk about. So basically, I don't think you can really do philosophy very well. It doesn't really mean much to analyze if you can't implement any of it functionally. So we are animals, we have to deal with that fact. We do, so it's just the way it is, right? So this is the spiral of life. So there's hatred, rejection, judgment, coping, short-term, mechanisms for dealing with something we don't like. Then there's acceptance, commitment, change, pushing, going beyond known limits, and burnout, reset. So relapse is inevitable if we don't make a big enough change to the point where we jump off the cliff of unknown. To me, jumping off the cliff of unknown is where change happens. It's because it takes more energy to go back than to go forward, basically. So, there. Probably talk a little bit more if I wanted to. So, logic is how you describe and not the description itself. The description itself is a representation of things themselves, depending though, however, on whether these icons are not merely synthetic inventions of confusion or deliberate imagination. Words or symbols, pointers, so to speak, ideally, not abstract or arbitrary creations, projections of things themselves. Autogenesis of originality, redundancy, similarity, and true randomness is non-guaranteed. Non-guaranteed means no prior determining factors. So basically, things exist simply because there is no intrinsic logic to the universe. There is no reason, it just is. Void of reason does not equal prevention, limitation, or restriction of inception, beginning of things themselves from the void, literally. Something from nothing, since logic is non-intrinsic. There is no rules of what can happen because there's no prevention mechanism. Like a void remains a void. Because a void is a void, things just are. A thing is what it is and no other. Things are what they are by their own definition. Things themselves, beginnings and ends, only come from things themselves and are no thing traceable to an ultimate essential origin of nothingness. There is no ultimate universal thing if a thing is not existent by its own nature. Just is. So I have more to learn, obviously. Yeah. Lots more. Yeah, no, I know the presentation's all weird. I'm like using a mixer board and I hear my own voice, so that's why I'm talking so slowly, so I can pronounce a bit better that way. But that's it for now. If you want to know more about me, then I have plenty of links elsewhere.